Okay, there is an announcement for participants. The link for the attendance of morning session is given on this chat box. Who have not submitted the attendance yet, please fill the Google form. Okay, so our second session will start with the topic flash floods, and the expert of the session is Dr. Tej Kaki. Sir, I welcome you in this program. Dr. Tej Kaki sir is an architecture graduate from Chandigarh College of Architecture and has done masters in urban planning from AIT Bangkok and PhD in public policy from Northeastern University, USA in 2010. Dr. Karki has served as faculty at Boston University and Tufts University. He had been the chief town planner at Kathmandu Town Planning Office in 2004-5 and was an MIT visiting scholar in 2016. Dr. Karki's research interests cover inclusive planning, disaster governance, and politics of climate change, and female leadership for sustainable development. His teaching interests includes providing free mentorship to most unprivileged students who are struggling hard. At present, he is professor at Lovely Professional University, School of Architecture, Design and Planning, Pagwada, Punjab, and supervising 6 PhD students in planning and architecture. He provides guest lectures to various colleges and universities uh, in Asia and urban issues and climate resilience. I welcome Dr. Karki, sir, and invite for the expert lecture. Sir, please take the charge of the session.
Thank you. Let me share my presentation. Is it visible there? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is clearly visible.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir. You are audible as well.
It's a loud enough voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm going to present about the flash flood based on my experiences and research and my studies in Nepal and other countries. So I'll start my presentation. At the end of the presentation, I hope all of you will understand how to be resilient. What are the areas that need to be resilient to save ourselves from flash flooding? So that is my expectation. So worldwide, the number of flood incidents are rising since 1950 to 2010. Average global damage per year is $9 billion US, and flood is the third largest natural disaster after storm and earthquake. This is the situation about flood. So what is flash flood? How it is different from normal flooding? What is flash flood? So flash flood is excessive rainfall in short period of time, and flood develops suddenly, and it creates a havoc in cities, built up areas, or in other settlements. So yeah, so that is the nature of the flash flood. The normal flood is normal flooding. You see the flood coming, it develops and it goes, but this comes suddenly, and that is why it is called flash flood.
आप लोग जब तक
So
अपना तैयारी
flash
कर लें,
flooding and
वाई शुरू करेंगे 5-10 मिनट में, ठीक है?
sorry,
एक्सटर्नल आने वाले हैं आपके.
Participants.
Excuse me, I think we should unmute the microphones, so I'm hearing noises.
So
It will be good. So everyone,
please take care. Participants, please take care of your mic and cameras.
or the organizers can unmute all the mics so that we can continue. So I was telling, what is the difference between flash flooding and flooding? The difference is, in flash flooding, you have little time is left for issuing warning. You have little time to prepare and protect and run. So that is the typical situation. That is very dangerous in that sense. It's very different from normal flooding because you have little time to plan and prepare. So there are range of impacts. You know, the impacts can go hundreds of kilometers downstream. If upstream is having unprecedented rain, that is a cloud outburst or something like that, then that can impact not only in the near regions, it can have a far areas also can be impacted by that flood. So what is the scope of flash flood out of all the total floods? 85% of the flooding cases are flash flood. That's why it's dangerous. 85% cases are flash floods all the time. That comes suddenly, and it gives no time to prepare. So its share is huge in flooding cases. Flash flood kills 5,000 people annually, and it has the highest mortality rate. So flash flood is very serious issue in disasters. And in urban areas, if flash flood comes, our South Asian countries are negligent. They keep open drains without covers, manhole covers, and everything vulnerable. You know, drains don't have cover, and suddenly if flash flood comes, people cannot figure out whether it is a road, it is a hole, it is a manhole. So children and people are killed by going into the drain. So that are a lot of problems because of the flash floods. The next thing you can see that, you know, how people are in a very panic mode, trying to survive, trying to cope with the flood. So this is the nature of the flash flood. So it is very dangerous, sudden, and problematic to cope with. So what causes flash flood? We have to understand what causes flash flood. So this is the main question if we want to address the flash flood. So there are two factors. First is flash flood triggers. What causes flash flood? Number one, it causes due to cloud outburst. The second is glacier outburst, and third is dam failures. So because of these three factors, flash floods occur and impact on cities and settlements. And what are the flash flood accelerators? They are the city vulnerability. How vulnerable is the city? cities' soil imperviousness, whether they can absorb water or not, cities' natural drainage and pond encroachment trend, and the other is hard surface pavement expansion, because large cities are paved by parking area, pitch, and the different kind of house compounds. So it is all paved. So built up area is paved. There are less green areas. So that is other vulnerability. And the rivers, the meandering rivers are tamed and made straight lines so that the velocity of river increases and causes flash floods in the downstream. So there are flash flood triggers. There are 3 triggers, and there are also city vulnerability. When these flash flood triggers impact cities, the situation becomes worse if the city is vulnerable, like soil imperviousness problem, natural drainage problem, hard surface problem. The situation becomes worse, and ultimately what happens is flash flood impacts happen, flash flood disasters occur. So this is how. So I will explain you one by one what is cloud outbursts, glacier outbursts, dam failures, and after that I go to tell you how we should be resilient to such kind of floods. So flash flood triggers, first is cloud outbursts. When rainfall rate is huge in short period of time, in 1 hour, if it is 100 millimeter rain or more, that creates a cloud outburst, huge amount of rain in short period of time, and that obviously causes flash flood in its vicinity. This is number one. There's a glacier outburst. The snow melts and creates a lakes. Sometimes landslide happens, and then the water is blocked, and suddenly the blocked water, the blocked area is, it bursts. It opens from somewhere, and suddenly this whole lake water goes in the downstream and causes the glacier outburst. And that may happen due to earthquake, or that may happen due to soil weaknesses in some part of the lake. So when it bursts, then the downstream is impacted very heavily. So glacier outburst is one of the causes of flash flood. So I'll give you one example from Kathmandu. The Kathmandu on the northern eastern part of Kathmandu, there was a recent incident in the snowy mountain area, and there was in the downstream, there was a Melamchi water supply project. There was headworks where the water was supposed to go. So what happened is, up in the mountains, if you see in the left corner, that cloud outburst kind of thing happened, heavy rain in short period of time. That melted the snow. The snow went down, and then that caused some kind of landslides. And what happened is, so landslides blocked the water, and then water collected there, huge amount of water, and suddenly the blocked area was opened, and that created a flood downstream in the Melamchi, and it disturbed the whole area. Many houses were inundated, many roadsides were broken, and ultimately, the Melamchi water project was a huge dream project for Kathmandu for 40 years. There was a billions of dollars investment. That project was there, and then all these debris, all these stone pebbles and everything that just covered the entire headwork of the water supply project, where the water was supposed to go into the tunnel and go to the Kathmandu. So that 30 years dream project has been blocked now. Now it is a very odd situation. I'll show you some of the pictures how glacier outburst can cause settlement damages. So see, this was the damage in the near Melamchi area. When the outburst happened upstream, then the whole area was inundated like this. So the houses were damaged in this manner. So in other cases also, the damage due to cloud outburst is roadside buildings are washed away. All this scenario you can see here. So the other thing is dam or levee failure. These days the rain, is not very normal and friendly because of the climate change. Unprecedented rain happens, and the dams designed for certain amount of rainfall cannot withstand the rain and water, and then when dam fills, that water goes downstream and causes the flash flood. That is another cause. So, okay, those were the 3-4 factors that cause flash flood. Now, and when that flash flood goes into the city, if city is vulnerable, then it makes the situation more worse. Okay, so I'll show the situation. What are the vulnerabilities? The first is soil permeability. This is a map of US, and there is a Houston city whose soil absorbing, water absorbing capacity is least water absorbing capacity that city has. As a result, when flood comes, the soil does not at all absorb the water, and that creates a lot of flooding in that area. The soil permeability issue is one. The next is natural drainage encroachment. In Kathmandu, it was a valley, it was a plain farmland and everything. Suddenly, when everything develops, the natural drainage channels are blocked. You can see that red triangle that was supposed to be a drainage channel of the valley. Now it is just, covered by the mushroomed buildings and structure, and in many places they are encroached. So when the natural drainage is encroached, you can imagine if the flash flood happens, what will happen? What will be there? The next is pond and wetland destruction. These ponds and wetlands are the places where flood can spill over and minimize the damage. There are a lot of wetlands, there are a lot of ponds, and these are also destructed. When ponds and wetlands near the river side are destroyed, then the flood will have no place to go, spill over, and it will give a huge impact in the downstream. So the ponds and water bodies are the other vulnerability. If you don't have those kind of wetlands, if you have developed your wetlands and you have destructed the pond, then the water has nowhere to go. So it will go to the city and neighborhoods and impact the drainage. That is the point. So the next, expansion of impervious surfaces in cities. Cities grow and grow and grow with all pavements, parking area, pitch area, metal roads, concrete pavements in schools, campus, and everything. The entire Houston city, if you see the map, between 1996 to 2000, the expansion of pavement areas. So when whole area is paved, then the rain, if it falls down on the pavement, then the soil cannot absorb, then there will be a huge runoff. That runoff makes the situation worse when flash flood is coming into the area. So that is the other thing. Then is taming the meandering river. River velocity is neutralized by meandering river going here and there like serpents and all. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to develop roads and streamline the river banks. If you concrete the river bank, if you make the river bank smooth, the velocity of water will be faster, and it will impact, and then the velocity will impact flash flooding in the downstream. So this is also the other issue. Like you can see, you can imagine, if you make a concrete drainage like this, the velocity of water will be much higher than you see on the right hand side. So this is also a cause for flash flooding. That is also a vulnerability that you might find in cities. The other vulnerability is that river banks are encroached by developments. When river banks, those are the right of way of flood. When excess flood comes, they will go right side and left side, spill over and neutralize the flood. When you do development on both sides of the river banks and encroach and narrow it, and flash flood comes, it will go entirely into the settlements and damage other areas. So this is the riverbank encroachment. And as you see, when there are flash flood triggers and there are vulnerabilities, and when they both interact, they will create a huge impact and damages. You can see the cloud outburst in, I think this is in Uttarakhand somewhere. I saw the picture. The next is, yeah, even in Uttarakhand, there was a heavy rain and flash flood a few years back. And yeah, okay. So, and this you can see the flood occurring in India, in especially in different, this was I think a part of, okay. Now you can see the Surat flooding. The Surat is a city, one river goes in the middle. So when heavy rain happens and then whole entire city is inundated by the flash floods. When upstream rainfall is very huge, so Surat is the most vulnerable city from flooding. So so this is the case that you will see. And there are a lot of damage. I think in 1 year there were 300 people were dead, and so many 90% of the city area was flooded. So this is the situation you see. Yeah, so this is the thing. The 90% of the city flooded. 40% people received no warning. 300 deaths, 3.3 billion US dollars. So this is how it happens. So what can be done about this now? Okay, we saw a lot of flash floods. So we saw different triggers of flash floods. We saw the vulnerability of city, and that combines and creates a lot of destruction. So what can be done about this? So this is a question we should all think. I think some of the participants can jump in and say what can be done, but we'll discuss that later on. So I will give something like this. Okay, what can be done is, I mean, one might say that we should plan our city in advance and then prepare. But the planning will have a timeline. If you have 20 years, you can do land use, you can do zoning, you can make preparedness, you can create disaster response team, and you don't allow people to encroach the natural drainage, the forest, the floodplains. You can do that if you have 20 years. Okay, if you don't have 20 years, if you have 1 year, you can do some kind of preparedness, disaster preparedness, create some disaster response agency and disaster rescue agency. But today, if you have just 10 to 30 minutes, then what you will do? So you have 10 to 30 minutes time to save yourself from flash floods. What you will do? That is the critical question, because you don't have time. You cannot say that we didn't do anything 20 years. You cannot blame, because you have no time to blame. You have time to survive. You cannot say that 1 year we didn't do anything. Nobody paid attention, and blame, and by blaming you will not survive. You have 10 to 30 minutes to survive. What you will do? So this is the real question today. So in this case, what you do? You will not go for land use planning or zoning, or you will not go for a disaster preparedness. And you have 10. These people have just 10 to 30 minutes time to prepare. And at this case, what is the planning? What should be the right planning when you are at this position? This is the main question. Okay, I'll give you one example. I'll give you one part of Kathmandu Valley, the Bhaktapur area, the urbanization trend. In 1990, this was the urbanization, small red patches. In 2000, it expanded largely, and in 2010, it covered the entire area. So in the process, what they did is they encroached river banks, they encroached natural drainage, they encroached floodplains, they encroached everything. Everywhere it is urban. Floodplains are urbanized, river banks are urbanized, natural drainage of this whole valley is urbanized, and now you have a flash flood. When flash flood is there, so where the flash flood can go? If every drainage are blocked, I mean natural drainages are blocked, everything is river floodplains are developed, then what will happen? Flood will go to the floodplains. Flood will find its own way to go to the city and inundate. Okay, this is a 2010 situation. So if this is the situation, what should be the solution now? In 2010, if you see this kind of city, then what is the solution? If the flood is coming and harming the people, so to avoid harm to people in this 2010 situation, what are the options we have available? One option is available is go to the 1990 situation. Can you take this 2010 urbanization to 1990 situation? Can you dismantle all the buildings developed on encroached natural drainage and floodplains and take back to the 1990 situation? Can you take back to the 2000 situation? If you cannot do that, then your reality is 2010. Then what you will do? What is the solution left? You don't have time to do land use zoning or dismantling or clearing all these natural drainage and all. You don't have time. You have missed the boat. For 20 years, you did nothing, and all urbanization happened in a haphazard way in 2010. So what you do? What is the solution? So this is the challenge. So solution is, you cannot, overnight clear all these blocks and then create a flood friendly, flood protected city. You cannot do overnight. So what you do? Probably you will run away. The run away is only the solution here. When flood comes over, so what you do? You cannot talk about planning and zoning, or you cannot blame anything else. What do? You run away. Running away is also maybe a strategy. Retreating, that is what we call it. So this is the urban context where we are in, and how to deal with the flash floodings. Okay, so this is the problem. Now, in order to deal with this kind of problem, that we have done nothing, we have destroyed all entire urban areas, all drainages are blocked and everything. So now all we have is time to be resilient or run away and save when rain comes. Okay, the running away is only the solution. So in that situation, we need to have the resilience, flood resilience. Flood resilience is, the definition of flood resilience is ability to cope with, recover from, and go with the normal life. That ability we have to develop, or ability to cope with, adapt to, and also sometimes accept the new normal. When it is everywhere water, then accept water. You cannot just fight against water and then try to create a boat house or boating or something, live with water. So that is resilience. So resilience means ability to cope with flooding. In general way, you can say that, but there are more deeper definitions. So you can be resilient in order to combat with flash flooding. You can be resilient at 3 levels: at individual resilience, institutional resilience, and regulatory resilience. What are those? I will tell you in the subsequent slides. First is individual resilience. Develop an ability to cope with the given situation. See how these people are coping. This lady is coping the flooding situation. So you have to develop individual level resilience. You have to think, how can I be resilient? What should I do in case of the flood? And where are the safe areas? What are my boats? Where are my everything? Do I need? So these are the individual level resilience, is that knowledge of resilience at the individual level to combat with flash flood. This is one thing. The next is individual resilience is also, this school girl is trying to help someone, disabled person, to cross the river, cross the road in case of a flash flood. So this is also a kind of individual resilience. You can say compassion, everything. And there are also individual residents in a small neighborhood. They are discussing about the flooding, in case of flood, what we should do, where we should go, what is the safe route, and this and that. That is also individual level resilience. This is one. The next is also individual level resilience means also you should be able to run the boat and be able to swim. So that is also a capacity to save from flash floods. So institutional resilience, I'll tell you. The institutional resilience is there should be an institution about flash flood warning. I mean, the local government should have bulk messaging system, text message. If there is a heavy rain going on in the catchment area, the municipality will text all the householders living in the region, bulk text message. Everyone will receive the text message and there will be an alert. There may be mics, and this is a flash flood warning. I mean, kind of early warning system should be done. And in Odisha, you know that before there was no early warning system. After this text warning system, thousands and thousands of people were saved in Odisha, cyclones and all. So this is how effective is early warning system. That is number one, institutional resilience. The second institutional resilience is there are enough firefighters, boards, fire brigades, and then people. So this is also an institutional part. Municipalities and local governments should have this. The next is individual, the institutions, the militaries, the police, they are trying their best to, minimize the impact and damage of the floods. They are creating themselves as a bridge to let the kids go away. So these are institutional things. Institutional is also to rescue by helicopter. Sometimes, most of the time, these helicopter central governments are lazy. They always come late. Sometimes they trapped into the bad weather, and then ultimately that individual has to cope with what is the thing. But still, that when if it goes on time, then it can do the great relief. So this is the relief system, disaster relief, food, shelter, and everything. That is also a part of the institutional resilience. How resilient the institution is. If it is resilient, it will bring helicopter, it will have disaster relief centers, shelters, and foods. So this is institutional. Institutional resilience is also at the local level. There is a consultation with the landowners. There are consultation committees prepared at the ward level so that they every time think about what is flash flood or any kind of disasters. So they discuss and create a committee and give us a bit of, and who will do what, that kind of thing they can do it. So institutional, this is also local government's role to organize wards into committees. So next, the final is the regulatory resilience. The regulatory resilience is to see, is to prepare a risk-sensitive land use map, see where is the risk, which are the flood-prone areas, which are better for residential areas, which are better for industrial areas, which are the most risky areas from flood points, which are our natural drainage routes. So this kind of zoning and regulations should strictly prohibit those floodplain areas from urban development. They should strictly prohibit people encroaching the natural drainage system, and they should prepare a risk map, and they should publicize and educate the landowners and ward level people so that there will be a regulation, and there will be building bylaws and zoning regulations. What should be the type of building in a flood prone area, that I will tell you a second. Just for example, in the traditional history of Malaysia, the buildings were built on stilts so that flood water would not impact. So this kind of regulatory resilience may be in flood-prone areas. Municipalities should say that make buildings 4 or 5 feet above the ground, and the plinth level should be high, or maybe on stilts in the ground floor. So that kind of regulatory building bylaws. What is the flood resilient building bylaws? Are there flood resilient building bylaws for architectural development? Now municipalities should start, because climate change is increasing. There should be a building bylaws that is resilient to flooding. Regulatory ponds and protection, all these ponds, wetlands, they should be preserved so that if in case of excessive flood, that will go into the pond, that will go into the wetland and protect other areas from flooding, protect people from flooding. So this is regulatory resilience. So in conclusion, what we see the flash flood is nature and causes are flash flood emerges suddenly. It is very suddenly, it leaves no time to prepare. The outcomes of 20 years planning failure, it is the, flash flooding today is the planning failure of our agencies for 20 years. We did nothing, and that's why flash flood is impacting us. So it is a planning failure, it is inaction, and it is negligence of the governments, communities, and everything. So in order to deal today, what you have to do is actions that needs to be taken, I already described. There should be individual level resilience. There should be institutional level resilience. There should be a regulatory level resilience in order to protect ourselves from flooding, flash flooding, and disasters. Because we could have protected a long time back, but we didn't do anything. We allowed development to happen in floodplain, natural drains, and all. So all we could do today is to be resilient, individual level, institution level, regulatory level, whatever we could do. If we focus on all these 3 resilience issues, I hope we can we can make our communities and cities more flash flood resilient and safe. With this, I like to conclude my presentation and like to have a lot of questions and answers so that we can have a very lively and interactive discussion. Don't afraid of asking questions, dare to ask questions. There is nothing wrong and right. It is just an interactive participation. With this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much. Are you hearing me? Hello? 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 Can you hear? Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
I was just going on and on, but was I audible throughout, or there was some interruptions?
You were audible, sir, throughout.
Okay, thank
No
you very
problem.
much. Let me have some questions and discussions.
Sir, I would like to ask one question. How one can control or how one can avoid the cloud busting, or we cannot control the cloud busting, but is there any specific way to handle the situation for to avoid the disaster or to reduce a disaster taking place due to the cloud busting?
Yeah, this is a suddenly developing kind of thing. I'm not sure whether these weather forecasting people can say where the cloud burst happens. If they cannot say, then what we all should be educated. All the community and children, school and colleges should be educated. In case of a cloud outburst, there will be kind of flash flood disasters, and we should be prepared. We should be prepared. We should know our vulnerability of our home, our community, and we should see if there is a cloud outburst symptoms that government should educate. Then what should we do? There should be a guidelines, and then early warning. I mean, bulk text messaging can also be a tool if the government is responsible watching the clouds and just stand by watching the clouds. If there is any cloud outburst, he will issue the bulk text message to the community so that they can prepare which areas are vulnerable, which areas not vulnerable, where is the cloud outburst is happening, means the surrounding that area will be vulnerable. So I think it is a developing science. I think what I can say is only up to that. But if you have some ideas, you can also throw. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So any more questions? I think let me see.
Yes, participants, please ask if you have any query or question. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, madam. You are audible. Yes.
Maybe the presentation was very obvious and very clear, so no question is left to ask, or there are questions. So I'm wondering what is the case.
Dr. Karki?
Sir,
Yes. Yes, please.
Yeah.
sorry, you could go ahead and I could go after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Shall I start?
Yeah.
I am Krishna from Pokhara, Nepal, and I am retired professor from Tribhuvan University, and I am technical advisor of Disaster Preparedness Network Nepal. Yeah, basically, flash flood, different types of flash flood in the Himalayan region. And we have, sudden avalanches and some other floods basically comes out from the climate change in the Himalayas and sudden, river swelling up and that is very difficult to get the early warning systems. And as you mentioned that individual resilience, it is also very hard to take those devices in the steep and high current flow in the mountain and hills. Particularly your observations in Kathmandu and plain area, that's good. But in the high steep slopes and high current, how can you suggest for the individual resilience in such a flash flood? That is my query.
Yeah, that's a very good question. A very interesting question. Yeah, we see, in mountain remote areas, there are flood incidents are happening, that earth is burying people. And from the headquarters or district headquarters, some people are going, and on the way, there is another landslide, and they cannot reach there. So government sometimes says that by the time you inform the helicopter, it will be too late. The people are already buried. So the rural area has a big challenge. I think it's not a good idea. I mean, let's hope that the central government or machinery will come, but it's not a good idea to completely rely on them or pray on God and then try to save ourselves. I think we should have some kind of education. There is no best, mechanism or technology to protect, but if you don't have any land other than in a very high slope area, there are rainy areas, especially when there is a rain, they can stir temporarily in the safer places, the July, maybe May, June, July, and come back, and that can be done. Also, other thing is at the night kind of flooding I'm telling. But if it's a cloud outburst, then that is a different. Even that they should know, and they should know where to run. That is one thing. But there should be a shelter provision for those in a very remote area. They should be educated. I think the school students should be educated. Every individual villagers should be educated. They should participate in the drill, and they should be knowledgeable thoroughly, what they need to do in different situations and case, so that, they can survive themselves. That is the only mechanism their survival, because the government cannot reach on time. And you cannot rely on government. You can control yourself, you cannot control others, but you can always hope. So in that sense, maybe education, maybe house to house education, maybe early warning system, if government can do that, okay. Otherwise, if there is no early warning system and suddenly certain thing comes, then what the villagers should do? We should at least, find some answer. There is no exact answer. It's situation dependent. Everything is situation dependent. If certain situation is there, if right side is the danger, you go left side, that is a judgment and all. At the critical time, we can apply judgment. But we should dialogue with the people, with the villagers, with the students, and try to find the best possible knowledge that we can have in case of disaster. That is what we can do. I think I'm not sure whether I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you for this. But yeah, there is no questions behind this. Yeah, education is there. Yeah, that is the need. But still the challenge is that every individuals in the remote area and educate them only for this individual resilience is not that much practical. And then you just mentioned this institutional resilience, just building the shelters and identification of the open and safe area. And yes, you mentioned that the flood in the night time, and disaster in the night time, and no light systems, and there are so many difficulties. And major disaster happen in the remote areas, particularly these sloping areas, and then flash floods basically caused in the night time. That is the experience we have. So education is there, but education itself is very, very difficult to reach to those people, those who have very a poor livelihood and they don't have any further options for the security themselves. So these are the challenges, and it is not that much easy to think about those part of the country. Yeah, those part of the Himalayas, we have the very serious situation. And individual resilience, yeah, yeah, for talking is good things, but for the practical, it is for the disaster professionals, it is very difficult on that part. Yeah, that I agree on your observations also. Education is there.
Yeah.
I agree on that, but that is not easy part. So
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
experts should have to think towards these issues. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Actually, you know, the night kind of flooding and the landslides, for that, you know, the villages could do turn by turn night guarding, you know. Someone is awake at night, turn by turn, during that monsoon sensitive period. That is also one way of being resilient, you know, where the water is coming, where the landslide is happening in the mountains. So night also we can do that kind of what you call, that is exchange of duties.
Yeah,
With
but
people.
one thing, we have to see the settlement structure over there.
Yeah,
Small
I
houses,
agree. Yeah, I
small
agree that.
houses and individual houses, hordes here and there, and it is very difficult to combine the whole settlements. Settlements in the Himalayas mostly in sparse and scattered. So that is also big problems on that.
Yeah, agreed. But the local government is there. The individual level education, I think, is the best one that we know. And thank you very much for your very valuable input. So, are there any other questions, please?
Okay, thank you for this. Yeah, from my side is okay.
Okay, thank you.
So I had a question.
Okay.
Often architectural schools for their second, third, and first year have these settlement study trips,
Mhm.
which include a study of either vernacular or semi-urban areas. So what if there is a sort of a list of these affected areas, and there could be a pre-study done, which could then be submitted to the local communities? I think that's the best way in which education could contribute. And with the help of faculty and other administrative, of course, policymakers as well, there could be some suggestions made. So do you think this could be one of the approaches of integrating climate change mitigation within education?
Yeah. I mean, that is, I mean, where the settlements are in vulnerable locations, you know, where is the vulnerability in the mountains and remote areas? Whether settlements are in a risky area or not. So, which are the less risky area? Resettlement can be a one exercise, you know, to the critical areas. You know, education may be one thing. Yeah, you know, architecture students and planners can study certain vulnerable area, propose solutions, and governments should adopt a resettlement plan, resettle them in a safer locations and all. If these obvious things had happened smoothly, then there would have been no problem. But the challenge is when resettlement comes, government's commitment is required. Where is the land? Who will give the land? How much is the land? Of course, in rural areas, land should not be the problem, but the political interest in that is lacking. But the local government are very much empowered, particularly in Nepal and even in India. Local government have all the disaster management committee they can create. So they should work out for their village, for their district, what should be the safer areas for settlement, what should be the areas for agriculture and all. That again comes to our natural land use. You know, earlier in Kathmandu Valley, all the residential areas were in the upland and the floodplains were agricultural land. Now, you know, all agricultural land is gone. The issue here is the control. The strict control is neither in the urban area, not in the rural area. If there is a hazardous area in a rural area, if the village development committee leader is there, it's a hazardous area, very slope, dangerous, or flood-prone area, can he create a law, regulation, and prohibit strictly, put the police enforcement, and don't allow at all development on the floodplain and then steep hill, risky areas? Can local government do that? In US and in UK, they do that. Even people have the land ownership right. They don't have use right if it is risky. Their police will
Right.
go and court will go, and nobody can do that hazardous kind of development on floodplains and steep hills. But here, you know, we are very much, the compassionate people, generous people in doing whatever we like. If the local government does something, there will be a lot of public pressure. I have this land here. But it is not impossible, but there should be a person with intense desire to make change. So gradually, as you said, from one settlement, one exemplary model, we can expand to the entire nation. But there should be a new, role model local government should be there. There should be a role model architects and planners team should be there who will propose and push. Proposing alone is not there. They will put that in their shelf and nothing will happen.
Right.
But you have to push, you have to advocate. So it is a whole lot of planning, advocacy, and idea generating, educating kind of task. But
Right.
I talked a lot, but I'm not sure whether I answered your question, or if you have something, you can please.
You did, sir. Actually, this came from an example of Majuli, which is a river island in Assam. And it is slowly losing its land to global warming because it gets flooded, and over the last 10 years flooding has increased. The Brahmaputra often sort of sinks almost like 30 to 40% of the island, and then it recedes. So the residents are so used to this phenomena that they would go to government camps and then they would come back calmly, rebuild their homes and start staying again in the same place, irrespective of how many warnings they have been given. So that sense of belonging to that place, it's very difficult for the inhabitants to lose that sense of belonging and say that this is a danger to my life. It's become a routine activity. Like, we would do something every day. It's become a routine activity for them. So that is one place where most of these coastal towns across the world face a challenge. Even if we do educate the people, that is where there is a major challenge of how do you sort of get them to accept that it is a threat, and it is a growing threat. It is not going to come and go, and the intensity would increase. So I think that's where most of even the governance part, I think they face an equal challenge there.
Yeah, it's a emotional and rational issue. Like rationally, people say that this is a very risky flood-prone area. You don't stay there. But emotionally, that guy says, "Oh, this is my,
Ancestor.
birthplace. This is my
Yes.
father's place. There is a
Yeah.
memory attached." This dilemma is everywhere, even in one Malaysian city where the high tide and then flood matches and completely 8 to 9 feet, 10 feet water, it gets inundated. People are still living there. So that is human, kind of behavior. That is the most difficult part. But to the best extent possible, we should communicate them that this is a rational, there is a risk.
Right.
But how can you overcome that? You said there is a risk. That's not enough. I think you should. He is very emotionally attached to that place. How you address that, and you
Right.
should be able to give a good alternative also. Okay.
Right.
So emotionally, what you can say is that last year our relatives died, the house destroyed. How long we are going to live? I know there is a memory, but how long we have to do? Then government also should come with here is a better alternative. If you go
Yes.
there, I will give you the incentives. If that kind
Yes.
of mechanism works, it will be able to deal this problem. But this seems quite ideal in the present context
Yes.
where people are just pursuing self-interest over safety, climate, disasters. They don't care. They compromise disaster for the economic self-interest. So that is
Yeah, that's
another
true.
thing. So okay,
Yeah.
thank you for your question. Any other
Thank you,
questions,
sir.
please?
Yes, sir, we have made enough damage to our Earth's surface, and still we have not stopped here, in spite of all kind of rules and regulations in place. And most educated people also doing this kind of uh, work which is again damaging our earth surface, and we all kind of activities and developments are going on. So I think it's a responsibility of each and every individual to take responsibility, and the sensitivity towards the sustainability is must to be have within ourselves. So, what kind of other mechanism or initiatives are coming up there from the government side for this kind of actions which are taking place?
Okay. I mean, even in India and Nepal, they have created National Disaster Management Committee. There are district management committee. They are bureaucrats. They act only when, something has happened. They are not, I think, proactive. They don't plan or think or educate people. They just, when something happens, they will go with the helicopter. And when the thing subsides, they go back and be a bureaucrat. So that is the government mechanism we have. But and there are a lot of NGOs and INGOs are also talking and trying to do something, but that is not enough. So one thing I'll tell you from theoretical point of view, until and unless people be responsible that I should not compromise environmental risks, I should not compromise disaster risk at the interest of my economic benefit. If they don't say, if they compromise for the sake of, if economic benefit is their upper thing, the main only thing, and they want to compromise all disasters, then at the end of the day nothing will happen. Everyone will develop buildings on very vulnerable steep slopes and this and that, concrete. I want hotel, I want housing, I want corporate organized, I want profit, I want benefit. They will end up in disasters, because the climate change, is other part, the global warming and climate change, and development and vulnerability. I have seen a lot of cities in US and other things, despite knowing that the sea level rise is going to be 6 to 7 feet high in that area, they are investing billions of dollars of investment and creating things. In Boston, there's a Boston Seaport District. I can give you an example. They have $18 billion almost, they have invested, despite knowing that several research have said that there will be a 7 to 8 feet sea level rise within 20 to 30 years. So what they think is that, let me grab benefit of this investment as soon as possible. Probably that will not happen. I will compromise. I will just close my eyes and go into the coastal area and take the risk. This is human behavior kind of changing thing. That is one thing. But what options are available from my side? If you want to say that, others they are doing very cosmetic things. NGOs, governments, they do annual disasters festival, this and that. They are also doing some kind. But the education level, at the school level, at the college level, and then school to parents, dialogues on disaster risk. What are our disaster risks? What are the opportunities? If they don't do dialogue and be learned, invite experts, learn from them, try to see what is risk in my home, what is risk in my community, and in case of a flash flood, what should I do? That kind of at least homework, if every student, if every citizen, if every woman, if every man little bit do homework like this, they will be better off, rather than suddenly without any homework, suddenly if the big flash flood comes, they will be nowhere. But if they have done little bit homework, they will be better off. So we should do homework at that level. I caution that you don't depend on the central government or district government. They will save us, so we don't have to think at all. They will come very late. Like I have seen in Indian film and all, that there will be a lot of fight, and everything is fight is gone, and at the end the police will come at the end when everything is finished. So that is the culture we have here. So I think the main emphasis I gave: individual level resilience, community level resilience, our own capability. If we build a thought process, if we build, then even if government does not come on time, we can save our properties and lives. So it is area where a lot of discussions with students, citizens, females, especially those who are living in vulnerable areas should have discussions. And especially earthquake. Earthquake is a big risk in Bhopal or maybe in Surat, Gujarat, and also in Nepal and all. We live on top of this earthquake. So that should be also a dialogue, how can we be resilient? So it is all about thinking on it, trying to find a little bit better options. And if we do that, in case of an earthquake, we will be better off because we have given some thought. Where is the risk? Where is the safe place? So that is the only, I'm not saying that the central government should not work, NGOs should not work. I want them to work. I hope that they will do real, genuine service to the individual people. They will educate, they will make a difference in resilience and disaster. I pray for them. But if they don't do, then I don't think we should wait. We should build our individual resilience and community resilience. Maybe whether I went right to the answer or I went to tangential answers, I don't know. Hello?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So how much time we have now?
Sir, we have half an hour more.
Okay, let's see if our colleagues have the stamina to ask questions for remaining half an hour. We'll see. I mean, a lot of, so when we discuss, some thoughts provoke and they might
like
that
to
might
add
generate some
something
questions.
on
Yeah,
it.
please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, she coming.
Sorry? Excuse me?
Shikha, ma'am, you are not audible.
Yeah, now she's audible. Yeah.
Now,
Yes, please.
I would like to add something.
Sure.
That in vernacular architecture and in vernacular settings, the people used to observe these incidences, and they have their own knowledge system that they never stop these streams, and they try to and we have to learn from that and adopt it in our studies.
Ma'am, I think there is some problem with your speaker.
Yeah. Sound is stopping.
Okay.
So sometimes we hear, sometimes we don't.
The
Please.
sound is. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I think that in vernacular architecture and in vernacular settings, we see that the people, they used to not to rivers and all, and they make their settlements away from these settings and use the natural contours for their buildings also. So we have to learn from them how to tackle those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we should see the history and best practices, how our traditional people, our conventional architecture, our building design in vulnerable areas, in flood-prone areas. I think we should study, we should observe, we should interview, we should see the historical trend of buildings. I showed one building built on stilt that was in Malaysia. Malaysia is a very flood-prone areas. So there are a lot of things to learn. It's not that, you have to invent new ideas. We have already the traditional best practices that we should learn. And that's a matter of research, That's why I'm telling my students that go and see how people have coped with coastal flooding, coastal sea level rise, and how they, in the historical context, how they were making buildings, now how they are changed and what kind of impact, whether that change was flood resilient change or it was thoughtless change. So because of this thoughtless change, what impact had happened? So this is absolutely the best practices. our history, our historical practices are very, very important to learn by ourselves. So that's a good point. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So I'm sure some people may be in a dilemma whether to ask or not ask. If I ask, what happens? If I don't ask, what happens? But if you're in that dilemma, just jump it and dare it. There is nothing wrong and right. We can just interact and learn each other.
Sir, I'm Sunit
Yeah.
Prasad
Yeah,
from
sure.
झारखंड रांची. सर एडुकेटेड पीपल तो ज्यादा इन्वायरमेंट को डिग्रेडेड कर रहे हैं. हमारे यहाँ बीआईटी सिंदरी है कॉलेज, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज. सर यहाँ पर इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज है, साथ में अभी 3-4 वो बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन किए हैं, सिनेटोरियम हॉल, तो क्या हॉल क्या के 5-6, और वो अनुपयोगी है. मीन्स वो कमीशन पैसा के लिए इतना बिल्डिंग का कर तो दिए, लेकिन इससे तो अपना अर्थ को या इन्वायरमेंट को डिग्रेडेशन तो हुआ सर. तो इस सब चीज को रोकने के लिए सर क्या करना चाहिए सर?
Exactly. Very good question. I think there is a greed. There is an economic greed among
Yes, sir.
people. They compromise environment, flood risk, earthquake risk for the
Yes, sir.
sake of
Yes, sir. Earthquake risk.
economic
Yes, sir.
wealth. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is so how to address this and make sure that all people are environment friendly. At the same time, they are earning their income by being environment friendly, being responsive to disasters,
Yes,
being sensible. So how to make that? This is a
yes,
great
sir.
question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how to change their behavior? Maybe regulations, maybe penalties, maybe incentives. I think this can be a discussion. Any other colleagues could jump and give some examples. How certain people were behaving that way, but because of the regulations or incentives or because of community pressure, they changed their behavior. Is there any example?
Yes, sir.
I'm asking all the participants. If you have, please jump in and share your ideas. Even if you don't have the example, you can give your idea. How could we protect our environment from greedy and economic greedy people who compromise environment, who compromise flood risks for their economic benefit, who compromise community risk for their economic benefit. So let's have some thoughts on this.
First,
Any thoughts? Okay, to start with, can Kimi say that, what is your idea about how to deal with this problem? What should we do?
on-
Kimi, can you hear? Can you give your thoughts on what should we do to address
Yes,
this?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
सर ये बहुत मुश्किल काम है, क्योंकि अपनी गवर्नमेंट ही ये चाहती है, क्योंकि बिल पास वही कर देती है आराम से. और भी इसमें जो बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन हुए हैं या होते हैं अपने झारखंड में, मैं देखती हूँ कि उसमें जो भी ठेकेदार है या जो भी है, वो जो बनाते हैं उसका मटेरियल कुछ अलग होता है, बिल में कुछ पास अलग होता है. जैसे मैं आपको बताऊं कि कंक्रीट बना रहे ये लोग, तो उसमें बोलते हैं कि यहाँ का स्टोन अच्छा नहीं है, जबकि पॉपुलर है कि झारखंड का स्टोन बहुत अच्छा है, और इसलिए वो 4th पार्ट सीमेंट यूज करते हैं, जबकि कार्यस्थल पे 2 ही पार्ट होता है, लेकिन बिल में पास होता है 7. तो सर अगर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी लोग अगर वो चाहेंगे ये ग्रीडनेस रोकना और चाहेंगे अच्छा, तो मुझे लगता है कि इन्वायरमेंट भी बचेगा, सब चीज बचेगा, मनी भी बचेगा. लेकिन अगर इन लोग का ग्रीडनेस अगर खत्म हो, तब sir.
How to destroy their greediness, how to dismantle their greediness and generate interest on environment.
सर मैं यहाँ पर झारखंड में रिम्स है बरियातू सर, वहाँ पे रोड रिपेयर होता है, मीन्स रोड बन गया वो बार बार रिपेयर हो रहा है, तो क्या मटेरियल लग रहा है कि बार बार रिपेयर हो रहा है और बार बार हमारे गवर्नमेंट उस बिल को पास किए जा रहे हैं सर.
This is the architectural forum, so architects इस प्रॉब्लम को समाधान करने के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं?
सर कर सकते हैं कि अच्छा मटेरियल मीन्स जो रूल रेगुलेशन है वो रूल रेगुलेशन के तहत ही कुछ भी निर्माण कार्य हो, तभी तो मुझे लगता है कि ये चीज रुकेगा सर.
So how to make sure that that happens, because that is not happening, you know, there are rules, there are regulations, but nobody is following. So how to make that happen? So it is that's why it's difficult. So any thoughts from other participants? Yeah, we can just give our thoughts that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please.
So the person or people who are doing this kind of encroachment or surface and different redevelopment projects or independent projects also, they are not going to accept these things. But I think the responsibility of other persons who are the witness of this type of development can complain on any portal or anything of the government. But here government have to assure the persons who are complaining these things that they will not be get any kind of harm on this from where for which they are complaining, or they also need to be give some incentives for this kind of complaints.
Yeah, I think the good thing is that, you know, we
लेकिन
have to
क्या हमने
educate
कभी
our
आर्किटेक्चर
member
के
of
बारे में ऐसा
parliament
सोचा
people.
कि पोस्ट कोरोना वर्ल्ड में कैसी आर्किटेक्चरल बिल्डिंग होनी चाहिए?
Sorry, what is the question? It's a very low voice. Can you say loudly? Hello? Pratik Kumar ji, are you saying something?
हेलो
Yeah,
हेलो
go ahead.
सर
Yes, yes. Yeah, we are hearing.
सर माय क्वेश्चन इज sir, my question is, sir, we are discussing health for the last
Your
2
voice
years
is
during corona
interrupted.
time.
Can you be louder?
Is my voice audible, sir, now?
Yeah, and now it's audible. Yes.
Sir, my question is, we are discussing health matters for the last 2 years in corona time, but have we ever thought or discussed about architecture, that what should be the architecture building in the post-corona world?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the flash flood is a risk, okay? Climate change is a risk, earthquake is a risk, pandemic is a risk. How to be a pandemic resilient, that is one thing. And how can we build a pandemic resilient architecture? That can be a different topic for this kind of conferences, different experts and communities, how they have practiced. It is a emerging knowledge, you know, we have no before experiences. This is a new thing, but lot of experience in 2 or 3 phase of this corona. You know, the local governments have done amazing work, individual has done amazing work, some shelters they must have built. It is a evolving research, we cannot say, but I agree with you that this is a very important area for having a conference and inviting people's experience on what kind of all the issue is about, you know, density, ventilation, light in kind of pandemic. And I have heard that in Mumbai, that the big slum, the Arabi slum and all, they had done research and they found that, you know, they were very much resilient and they were least affected by the pandemic. So what kind of architecture was there in the interior? So that is a kind of a important subject, but needs more research. That is what I can say right now. But to go back to the earlier question, that until and unless we educate our students, until and unless we educate our parents and guardians, until and educate our member of parliament people, until and educate in I think these discussions sometimes I feel that we are having among our co-professionals. We all agree on this area. All agreeing people are in this discussion, but we have not invited those who influence decisions. Have we brought the member of parliament in this conference? Have you brought some VDC chairman or Nagarpalika Pramukh or some village head here in this thing? Have you asked questions and interacted with them? No, what are you doing? What should be done? Do they give you time for this? So the influence, the decision makers are there. So our knowledge, we should take this knowledge not only to students, residents, people, flood affected residents, but also to the policymakers, policy influencers. They can influence policy. So have we talked to the member of parliaments? Have we talked to the leaders? Have we talked to the political parties? We are out of touch with that. So if you are out of touch with them, then we cannot influence policy by talking to ourselves. We all co-professionals. So that is the one area, that is the one way of influencing change and making them responsive, making them less greedy and more responsive to the disaster. I think when we do be face to face, there will be a shame part also to do wrong things, to the politicians, to the corporate world, to the MLAs, to the VDC chairman. If we encounter face to face, they will also get educated, and they also think that, okay, we are doing it, it's too much, I think we should change. So that is very interesting. Maybe the next conference should invite all those policy influencer on flash floods or whatever topic you are doing. You also bring those policy influencers in the discussion, so that something will go to them. But the problem is what, they act as if they don't have time at all. They will come and they will give a long speech and go away. They will not stay listening the problem. But what they do is, when they go and inaugurate a disastrous project, but they don't go and discuss about that disaster project beforehand. When they were talking about risks and opportunities, they will not have time. But they go at the end, when all damage has been done, all mistakes has been done, and the project is about to start, and they inaugurate there. They have time there, but they don't have time there in thinking, in risk minimizing debates and conference. They will not come. Even if they come, they will just come and they think that they are busy, they don't have time, they will not listen. They will say off track things in the beginning and go. So that is a tragedy. But we have no other option than bringing these people into our forum and influencing them. Then only we can bring change. Otherwise, regulations are there, maybe in paper and everything, that will not work. But we have to be dynamic and interactive. I think I talked too much. Maybe whether it was relevant or not, let's have comments from others.
Anyone else want to ask question?
Yeah, we have 49 to 50 participants here. Maybe they want to ask, or they have no questions. We don't know.
You can put your question on chat box also. Okay, I think all the queries have been answered. And I'm thankful to Kaki sir for making the session fruitful by sharing his thoughts and experiences with us, and cautioned us that human is the only contributor to the flash floods. So we should take the responsibility of it as a community, as an institute, and as an individual. Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts and giving us your precious time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and namaste to all for being here and listening
Thank you,
whatever I
sir.
knew, and thanks for coming. With this, I say bye-bye to all. So I think we have my email address. If you have any queries, you can email me. My email, I think I had put in the PowerPoint, but it is tejkarki, TEJKARKI @gmail.com. Any queries, feel free to ask. And thank you very much. And
Thank
bye.
you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
The next session is going to be start within a few minutes. I think the expert speaker is still going to join this program. Please wait for a few minutes. So here is an announcement for the participants. Please record your attendance on the link given on WhatsApp group. And you have to record your attendance for the afternoon session also.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I am not added on your WhatsApp group, so please add me.
Okay, sir. Have you registered for the program?
Yes, I have registered.
Sir, I have given the link to email to join the group.
Oh, fine.
Please check your email.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh. Okay, so our next speaker, Dr. V.N. Bartaria, is with us, and I welcome Dr. Bartaria, sir. So, Dr. V.N. Bartaria is a professor and HOD, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Lakshmi Narayan College of Technology, Bhopal. Dr. Bartaria has done his MTech in Thermal Engineering and PhD in Mechanical Engineering from Maulana Azad National Institute of Technology, Bhopal. He has guided about 85 ME and MTech theses and supervised 2 PhDs, and 8 PhDs are under supervision. He has 27 years of experience working with reputed industries and engineering institutions and technical education department, Government of MP. He has more than 220 technical publications in his credit, including 158 in international journals, 25 in national journals, 22 in international conferences, and 16 in national conference. His consultancy and research areas include computational fluid dynamics, analysis of flow and heat transfer problems, design and analysis of engineering systems involving fluid flow and heat transfer, solar energy collector design and performance analysis, design and performance analysis of heat exchangers such as condensers, evaporators, feed water heaters, oil coolers, etc., energy audit and energy conservation analysis, solar electric energy conservation system design and analysis, industrial fan design for application in heat exchangers, maintenance of heat exchangers, HVAC system design, energy audit and energy conservation in air distribution in air conditioning, problem identification, formulation and solution for engineering systems involving heat and airflow, indoor and outdoor environment. Welcome, Bartaria sir. I welcome you in this program, and please take charge of the session. Thank you, sir. Sir, you are not audible. I think your speaker is off. Mic. Sir, please open your mic. Some technical problem is there in Barkaria sir system, so he is rejoining the session. All the participants who have registered for the program, please join the WhatsApp group. The link is given at your email IDs. Okay. Bhattacharya sir, are you ready? Okay, all those who have not yet registered for this program and joined this meeting, please register the program. I am giving the link in the chat box. Please register yourself on the given link for this program. Without registration, you will not be able to get the certificate. Sorry for inconvenience. Please wait for a few minutes.
To check whether am I audible? Am I audible now, madam?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
So good afternoon, everybody. I'm very sorry due to some problem in my laptop. I could not start at that time. I have shifted to another system. Perhaps I am audible to all.
Yeah, could you be louder? It would be good.
Okay, just a minute. Is it okay now? Audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
better.
sir.
Okay. Sorry for inconvenience. Myself, Dr. V.N. Bhartaria, madam had told you all about me. I am professor in mechanical engineering department at LNCT Bhopal, and I am involved in many aspects of energy related issues and researches. And personally, I have completed my PhD and studies from MANIT Bhopal, and presently I am also guiding some of my research scholars in this energy related uh, research areas. So today on this particular short-term training program, I'm going to discuss or give you information about the energy demands, growing energy demands, and the associated challenges. I'm just sharing my screen. Visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So today we are going to focus on growing energy demand and
You can go to
environmental
slideshow mode.
challenges. This short-term training program is very much essential nowadays, and it is quite relevant with the as far as environmental sustainability is concerned. So all the teaching in the technical education, all faculty members and all the resource personals are required to be to have the feeling of environmental sustainability while teaching any of their concerned subject. So today in this session, I will discuss about the growing energy demands in India and associated environmental challenges. As you know that energy is the basic need of for every activity, and we all need energy for our personal activities, human activities in as a whole. So all the activities taking place in nature needs energy, some form of energy, and this energy comes from the power plants or some of the resources. It may be produced. It might be produced from the burning of coal, or from the hydropower, or the nuclear power, or renewable energy sources by using the renewable energy sources. So before going into the actual topic of growing energy demand and environmental challenges, we will see some of the sustainability aspects of the environment. Just a minute, I'm working. Slide is not changing now. What happened? Just a minute, I'm sharing my screen. Screen is visible, please.
Yeah, please
See?
go to slideshow mode.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. So slides are visible. So environmental sustainability. So first we should know what is environmental sustainability.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Please switch to slideshow mode.
I shifted, but why it is not sharing? This one is not supporting. System is not supporting. I think presentation is now visible. Madam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So environmental sustainability, as you all must be knowing that the environmental sustainability is the ability of the Earth's various natural systems and human cultural systems and economies to survive and adapt to changing environmental conditions indefinitely. So environmental sustainability is very much needed uh, by all of our actions. Everybody is responsible, and everybody should make the efforts to so as to maintain the sustainability of environment. And if we see that our Earth has existed at least for 3.5 billion years ago, and humans have caused major changes in the last 500 years. And because of the changes, whatever humans have made since a short period of time as compared to the existence of the Earth, uh, so many environmental issues have arose, and now we have to focus and work upon sustainability of the environment so that in near future we could be available we could maintain our this environment sustainable or livable where one can live happily or healthy. So it is definite that we are doing something wrong or we have done something wrong, or still we are not we are not in a position to maintain the sustainability of the environment. And environmental protection is very much desired nowadays. It is required to focus on all the aspects where the environment can be protected, or the sustainability is since affected by the energy resources, and our human activities are affecting the sustainability of the environment. So we need to focus on our activities. We need to work upon the all the aspects where the environment could be protected, and human actions are putting long-term sustainability in doubt. So human actions, whatever human actions we are putting nowadays or since so long, are in doubt as we are continuously facing several environmental problems, or we are uh, dealing with so many problems because of our actions, human actions, uh, which we are taking. So humans have survived many disasters, but human actions still are to be reviewed, and we need to focus on our actions where the environment could be protected or it could be sustained. Humans are smart, but are they wise? We are using and destroying the Earth's resources very fast. We are using all the resources wherever we are getting any resource or any useful things in our nature. We are exploiting it at the most, but we are not able to regenerate our resources or replenish them with or we are not able to renew them. So these are our all these actions are destroying the resources very fast. So I'm coming to my point of the growing energy demands. Before that, we are just discussing about the environmental sustainability so that we can better discuss the energy issues, or we can focus the issues of energy demand with the uh, environmental sustainability, as this short-term program is on the focus of is focusing on the environmental sustainability. So ultimately we will reach to the point of environmental sustainability and the growing demands of the energy in India. The meaning of environmental sustainability leads to questions that about what role human should play as an evolutionary species. How should we change the way we live and conduct business on this planet to ensure it's sustainable for future generation? So we have to think how we are living, what way we should live, so that for the future generation we can ensure the sustainable environment. The ways to live more sustainable may have the reorganizing living conditions, reappraising economic sectors, developing and adopting new technologies, making adjustments in individual lifestyles. So, for being the more sustainable, we need to have eco villages, eco-friendly villages, eco municipalities, sustainable cities, etc. This all means that we should maintain, or we should develop the villages, municipalities, cities in such a way that they could become eco-friendly, or they would be having better living conditions, or sustainable conditions could be prevailed. Reappraising economic sectors are also needed for the sustainability, such as green buildings may be designed, although many buildings are now being developed and designed with the perspective of, with the view of green energy, with the use of green energy, renewable energy. So we have started, government of India is focusing, government of India has made so many policies also, and they are focusing, government is focusing, individuals, societies are focusing on adopting green buildings, green technologies, so that we can live more sustainable agricultural procedures and methods have been adopted by the agriculture field, sustainable architectures, etc. They are also focusing on the sustainable issues. So reappraising economic sectors. Economic sectors are also needed to be modified, also needed to adopt the technologies, adopt to modern methods and procedures where the sustainability could be ensured. Developing and adopting new technologies. So nowadays, technologies are also coming, or they have been developed. They are being developed for the with the view of environmental issues, environmental sustainability, and green technologies have been developed, and they are being adopted by the societies, by the researchers, by the industries also, and government is also focusing on the adoption of new technologies which are green, which are not affecting the environment. So renewable energies are such energies which are very much environmental friendly, which are not affecting the environment, although they are not very much adopted by the individuals or in societies. So it is very much required to develop and adopt new technologies where the sustainability of the environment could be ensured. Making adjustments in individual lifestyles. So this is one more way where we can conserve the natural resources by making little bit adjustments in our lifestyles. By adopting green technologies, we may also adopt green technologies. We may invest in adoption of green technologies, or natural resources could be conserved, so that natural resources could be conserved, or if we cannot replenish them, at least we can reduce the usage of those natural resources. Natural resources or those could be conserved. So if we reduce the whole sustainability aspects in some of the principles, then we can see that sustainability may be thought of as a solar in three forms, solar in three aspects: solar energy, biodiversity, chemical cycling. So these are the three principles, such as solar energy. Solar energy is very much essential for the living of all the living beings on Earth. It provides heating, warming of Earth, provides energy for the plants to make food and other for the food of other organisms. It powers the winds. Winds are blowing because of the solar energy. Powers the hydrologic cycle. uh, Flowing water flows because of the some of the aspects of solar energy, because of the contribution of the solar energy. Biodiversity, large variety of species, many ecosystems, they are living together. Large species are living in various ecosystems, deserts, forests, oceans, and they are somehow contributing to the nature in renewing the soil or purifying the air and water, which is very essential for all the living beings on the earth. So biodiversity is one of the aspects of sustainability. Chemical cycling means those natural nutrients available on the earth. They are basically converting in cycle from the living organism to non-living environment and coming back. So they are recycling, and they are available to the living beings for their growth, development. So chemical cycles are necessary for the all the living beings to sustain life. So these are the three principles of sustainability: solar energy, biodiversity, and chemical cycling. These are very much essential, and they are responsible for the maintaining of the sustainability. Now, this was all about the purpose of all these information was just to uh, uh, have a background of information that ultimately we are going to discuss about the energy and the growing energy needs and the associated problems, and uh, the effect of these energy issues on the sustainability. The need of energy and civilization. We know that energy is needed for all the actions, all the activities of human activities, or all the activities. Human is involved in so many activities, right from the uh, functioning of body organs, and other day-to-day routine activities, business activities, our day-to-day comfort activities. So everywhere we need energy. Now, energy is a fundamental ingredient to human life. Without energy, we cannot do anything. We are using energy for fulfilling our basic requirements, as well as for the comfort and for the better functioning of all the activities. We need energy. There is no industrial, agricultural, health, domestic, or any other sort of processes that does not require a degree of external energy. So everywhere we need energy. For industrial activities, we need energy; agricultural activities, energy; health, domestic. So all sorts of processes are requiring the energy. If we see the energy requirement for our body, then it comes out to be about 2500 kilocalories per day as a food. This is an average value. In industrialized countries, the average daily amount of supplementary energy consumed in combined human activities, matter whatever activities in which the humans are involved, such as industrial, domestic, transportation, and others. So wherever human is utilizing energy for any sort of its activity, for any sort of its work, then it comes out to be about 125 1,25,000 kilocalories per person. So a person is requiring 1,25,000 kilocalories per day for meeting out its requirements as food and as well as other human activities. Other human activities means we are cooking food. So for cooking, energy is required. For transportation, energies are required. For several domestic purposes, energy is required. In industries, huge energy is required. Ultimately, the energy utilized in industries for the humans, if power is produced for any industrial production, if energy is consumed, then ultimately it is contributing in the account of human energy consumption. So in fact, there is a strong correlation between individual energy consumption and prosperity among different societies. So civilization and energy both are very much related. We are going to use more and more energy if we are more involved in more activities, more if we are living in more civilized society, or in a comfort zone. If we are living, if we are utilizing many facilities, then ultimately energy is required for all the things. Demands of energy. So energy demand is the consumption of energy by human activity. So where from energy demands come? Energy demands come from the human activities, associated human activities. If human activities are more energy will be demanded, more energy will be required to fulfill the activity requirements. So energy demands drives the whole energy system. Energy system is a system where from energy is obtained. So whatever energy is required, demands, according to the demand of the energy demands, the energy system will govern, will be driven. So it is affecting demands amount. Demands means how much energy is required. So that will drive the whole energy system accordingly. If low energy demands will be there, then energy system may behave differently. So it amount of energy required affects the energy system also, influencing the total amount of energy used, the type of fuel used in the energy supply system. So these are all governed by the energy demands. The characteristics of the end use technologies that consume energy. It depends on different socioeconomic factors: population, urbanization, industrialization, development of technologies, etc. So energy demands depends on different socioeconomic factors also. So socioeconomic factors means economic activities. If economic activities will increase, socioeconomic activities, social activities, economic activities will increase, then energy demands will rise. Population will rise, then energy demands will rise. More urbanization leads to more energy demands. More industrialization leads to more energy demands. Development of technology also affect the energy demands. So all these aspects of different factors that affect the energy demands. So energy demand is coming from all these factors, and as we have, India is more going to become more urbanized. More urbanization is taking place in India. Industrialization has also greatly increasing. Development of technologies are also changing place. So energy demands are also growing accordingly. So huge energy demands are coming with the time as compared to older time. Growing energy demands in India. If we focus on India, then we see that energy demands are continuously growing in India. And if we see the report of IEA. IEA is a international energy agency which is responsible for publishing of energy aspects of the different countries. India is also one of the members of IEA, International Energy Agency, as an associate member. So they are working with the governments of the nations, and they are publishing the detailed reports of energy of many aspects of the energy production, energy consumption, per capita energy consumption, and they are also providing the valuable information to the governments for framing their policies, energy policies, and future plannings also, and to make the governments possible to make their policies according to, so that they could provide the reliable energy to their citizens. The reports, this report, which is published by the IEA in February 2021, particularly for the India, the report explores the opportunities and challenges ahead for India as it seeks to ensure reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy for the growing energy demands. So this report is providing valuable information which can be seen as an opportunity and challenges for the India to provide reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy for the growing energy demands to the citizens of India. According to this report, the energy consumption in India has doubled since 2000. So energy consumption in India is rising rapidly, and since last 20 years, we can see that energy consumption has increased, and it is now become almost doubled since 2000. So in 2000, this report has been published in 2019. In 19 years, the power consumption has doubled. India will be the world's third biggest energy consumer by 2030. According to this report, India will be the third biggest energy consumer. Till now, or we can say that it will now leave the European Union behind us. So after China and US, India will be the third biggest energy consumer. So energy requirements are very rapidly increasing in India with the with more industrialization, more urbanization. We are increasing our energy consumption requirements, and we will become the third largest energy consumer by 2030. As of now, India is the fourth largest global energy consumer behind China, US, and the European Union. India's energy consumption is expected to nearly double by 2040. Again, in the year by 2040, India is expected to have energy consumptions more than double as of now. So in 2040, nearly the energy consumption will be doubled. Energy demands, if we see the growing energy demands of India with the population and GDP also. So rising population and incomes since 2000 have underpinned a doubling of energy use in India. Population has increased from 2000 to 2019. You can see in figures, and GDP is also increasing. Energy demand is also increasing rapidly. So per capita energy use is still but less than 40% of the world average. So energy demands is increasing from 2000 to 2019, and if we see the quantities of fuels used to provide the energy, then coal is still major part in providing the energy demands, in fulfilling the energy demand. Coal is the major source of energy, and gas has also, oil and gas both have increased their contribution in providing energy. biomass and traditional biomass is also little bit they are uh, uh, they're being used little bit less as compared to previous years, and renewable sources have been now used more for providing the energy demands. So this graph show that the India is moving towards utilization of renewable energies for fulfilling the energy requirements. They are focusing on usage of renewable sources of energy, and renewable part of energy is increasing by the is increased from 2000 to 2019. So, but still we can see that coal is being used as a major source of energy. So major part of energy is being produced from the combustion of coal in thermal power plants, or coal is being used as a renewable as a energy as a source of energy. Focusing on India's energy system, two extremely positive developments have also taken place because of the policies of the implementation of policies of the government of India. About 90 crore people have now got electrical connection in India. Earlier, it was very difficult for the remote for a person living in remote to have electrical connection, because electrical network was not available to the far places, and it was not at the reach of a common person or remote person to have electricity for their fulfilling their energy requirements. But as of now, 90 crore people have got an electrical connection, and this has taken place since 2020. Since 2000, more and more connections have been given to the citizens of India. It could become now possible to have to get the electrical connection at remote places also. We could have got the infrastructure and the network at the far-reaching places in India. So almost many of the citizens, many of the prominent places have connected with the electrical grid, and electrical connections are available. India has grasped the transformative potential of renewable energy and solar in particular. India is set to lead the world in areas like solar power and batteries in the coming decades. So this is another positive aspect where India has got great success, that India is now transforming to the application usage of renewable energy. Indian government have framed so many policies and providing several opportunities and providing several facilities where we can get the renewable energy easily. We can switch to renewable energies, to the usage of solar energy or some other form of renewable energy such as wind energy, etc. Easily, because of the government policies of the government. So in particular solar energy is being now used is now being available to the easily available, and we can install solar photovoltaic systems in our home and get the attractive uh, advantages, attractive features from the government also. So India is set to lead the world in providing the solar energy, and our focus on solar energy will definitely affect the environment, also protect our environment, and ultimately these technologies are focused so that the conventional fuel as coal uh, could be reduced in usage, and we can more focus on the clean energy or green energy, or pollution could also be reduced in the environment. Over 80% of India's energy needs are met by three fuels: coal, oil, and solid biomass. If we see the data statistics, then we see that still we are using coal, oil, and solid biomass as the major sources of fuel for the production of energy, and about 80% of India's energy needs are fulfilled by these fuels only: coal, oil, solid biomass, etc. So coal has underpinned the expansion of electricity generation and industry, and remains the largest single fuel in the energy mix. The energy mix means the different sources of energies are being used for the total production of energy, and in this mix, these are having the major contributions. So coal is still the single fuel in the energy mix, which is having the highest potential, highest part. Oil consumption and imports have grown rapidly on account of rising vehicle ownership and road transport use. So, rising vehicle ownership and road transport use have also increased the usage of or consumption of oils, and oil is being imported as our resources are very limited. Our own resources are very limited in terms of production of oil, so we are dependent upon the imports of oil, and imports, because of the rising vehicle ownership, more vehicles are now being manufactured and purchased by the citizens. More vehicles are available on the road now, so road transport usage is increased, and because of all these, oil consumption has also increased, and this is being fulfilled from the imports. So oil imports have increased because of the more consumption of oil and because of the more rising vehicle ownership. Biomass as a fuel wood, which is a declining share in the energy mix. Biomass was or fuel wood was majorly used as a cooking fuel, but still it has been used widely at remote places or at the villages, despite of availability of the LPG or clean cooking fuels technologies, but still so many people are using the biofuel or fuel wood as a cooking fuel. So 660 million Indians have not fully switched to modern clean cooking fuels or technologies till date. So still about 66 crores have not got the clean cooking fuels or technologies, and they are still using the fuel wood or wood as a cooking fuel. So these aspects are very important to consider as by the consumption of these fuels, by the consumption of these conventional sources of energy, we are ultimately contributing to the pollution, and if a little bit of these fuels, consumption of these fuels could be reduced, then a substantial change in environmental sustainability, environmental pollution could be obtained. So biomass is also or the fuel wood is also required to be reduced in usage as a cooking fuel, and clean cooking fuels or technologies or renewable energies may also be used for cooking, and we should have we should make our students, make our citizens aware of these technologies, and we should design, we should also contribute in designing and designing of these technologies, or making all aware of these technologies so that their usage could be improved, their usages, these technologies could be made available to common people, common citizens of India. share of fuel demands with growing energy demands. As we have already seen that coal is being still it is being used as a major source of energy, as a major fuel in the production of energy. So India's energy demand has tripled over the last 3 decades. The share of traditional biomass has fallen, leaving coal and oil dominant. So oil and coal are still dominant in providing the energy to the growing energy demands of the India. So we can see that oil percentage is huge. Coal is at the top, and oil is also having substantial share in providing the total energy demands, fulfilling the energy demands. Natural gases have also a sufficient percentage, is having a great contribution also. Modern renewable energies, modern renewable technologies, traditional biomass, these are also contributing nowadays more as compared to earlier times. So traditional biomass is still being used as a major source of energy, and but they are all these fuels, whether traditional biomass, natural gas, oil or coal, they are ultimately contributing to the pollution. They are contributing to the carbon production or carbon enhancement. But modern renewable energies technologies are also increasing in providing the in fulfilling the energy demands of the future and at present also. So at this moment, we can understand that our major energy requirements is being fulfilled by the conventional sources of energy, about 80%. So they are contributing to the environmental problems, environmental pollution, and modern renewable energies technologies are developing and adopted by the citizens or adopted, but still their percentage is very less, and it is continuously growing also. This is positive thing. If we say clean air days in India 2019, as per the record of 2019, clean air days means when the climate was clean, pollution level was low. So these clean days are very few at many of the cities of India. So clean air days can be obtained by the less pollution, by the consumption of less conventional fuels. If we are consuming more conventional fuels, then there will be pollution in environment, and clean air days will be few. So if we see the Indian scenario, we see that at many cities of India, as Haryana, Punjab, Delhi, UP, and many other places, the clean air days were very few. At some of the places, you can see that the clean air days were less than 50. And at many of the places, it was about 100 days when the air was clean, day was clean, air was sufficiently clean, or the air quality was up to a set up to a standard. But at many places, it is very bad, or only a few days were there when the air was clean. So why this happened? This is happening. This is happening because of the conventional combustion of conventional fuels, conversion of coal, utilization of conventional fuels for the production of energy. Since the energy requirements are increasing, energy is being used for many of the growing requirements of human requirements are increasing day by day. Many of the human activities, huge energy is required, such as for in case of comfort, we need air conditioning. Air conditioning consumes lot of energy. So where from this energy comes? This energy comes from the conventional sources of energy, major part of electricity which we have in our homes is being generated from the thermal power plants. So thermal power plants are producing electricity at the expense of combustion of coal, mainly coal. Otherwise, oil is being burnt for the production of energy. So they are contributing to the pollution, thermal pollution, or the air pollution, contaminants in they are supplying contaminants in air. So all are contributing to the pollution, and the cleanliness of days or air quality is degrading at many of the places because of the more combustion of these fuels, or we can say to fulfill the more requirement of energy, we need to burn more fuel and pollute our air. So growing energy needs are contributing to environmental challenges, environmental pollution because of the burning of fuels. So for the sustainability of the environment, we need to think over the combustion of fuel, combustion of or the sources of energy where from the energy could be can be obtained to fulfill our requirements. We cannot reduce our requirements of energy. Energy requirements is increasing day by day. Earlier, a house which was using little bit of energy just to fulfill the basic requirements of cooking or lighting, nowadays it has become difficult for a home to or a residential house to rely or use little energy or energy or conventional energy, or they cannot live without the conventional energy. Electricity is needed at every aspect of life. Earlier in earlier times, the water was the drinking water was pumped to the houses from a through gravity system.
Sir, also
Gravity system. What happened earlier? Then the water was cleaned, purified, and stored uh, at a place where from the water could be supplied through gravity system. But nowadays we see that in every colony they have their own water system. They have the bore wells, and they pump the water to the overhead tanks, and from that overhead tank water is supplied to the individual houses. So we have increased the energy utilization, energy application. Without energy we cannot get the water also. We need water, we need energy to have water daily in our home. If energy is disrupted for a day in a particular locality, then they cannot get even drinking water for that day, because pumps, the bore wells cannot work without the availability of the water. So we are totally dependent upon the conventional source of energy, which is electricity. And we have increased the usage of electricity in our day-to-day activities in our societies. We need the lighting system. For that also we need the electricity. At that evening time, at that night, during the night hours, we need to have light at our roads, at our outdoors for the outdoor requirements. We need energies for the lighting purpose, for heating purpose, for cooling purposes, for all our activities or enhanced activities. And these activities are increasing day by day. So these all activities are requiring energy. We are now having several surveillance system in our houses, in our societies. So this is now added. Earlier days we were not using, we are not dependent upon, we were not dependent upon the surveillance systems. But nowadays at every house, surveillance systems are at most of the houses, surveillance systems are being installed. So they are also consuming energy. So we are totally dependent upon the availability of the electricity, availability of the energy at our home to fulfill our requirements, to perform our routine activities, day-to-day activities. So where from this energy is coming? This energy is coming from the powerhouses where either coal is burned, either oil is burned, or the CNG is burned, or also we are getting energy from the hydropower plants, but they are also contributing some of the problems in the society and in the nature also. A large body of water is stored is in a dam, and uh, that is also contributing to some environmental challenges also. So but we are dependent on energy, we need energy, so we need to think about the aspects of energy or the sources of energy where from we can get the energy, we can fulfill our requirements of energy, but those sources should not affect our climate, or should not affect the environment, or we should think about those technologies which can ensure the sustainability of the environment, or which can which are easily available in our nature, or which are which can be renewed, which can be replenished, which can be returned back, or which can be not affecting our environment. So the objective of showing all these or discussing all these things is to make you all aware about the energy, growing energy needs, or just I'm making you aware, making you inform. I'm informing you, I'm discussing all these aspects so that you can recall, you can understand how the energies are being obtained, how the energy is obtained, and how the energy is being utilized, and growing energy needs are increasing, and energy with these energy demands, increasing energy demands, the environmental impacts are also increasing, and other aspects are also increasing, which we will see in the later slides. Rising fuel demands. So with the growing needs of energy, growing demands of energy, we are in the need of more fuels also, or fuel requirements is also increasing. Just a minute. So India's oil demand is rising by 74% by 2040. So oil demand as of now is going to be increased by 74% in the year 2040, with the with this pace of growing energy demands, the rising fuel demands are also rising, and it may rise up to 74% by 2040. India will become fastest growing market of natural gas, with the demand of more than tripling by 2040. India will become fastest growing market of natural gas. So natural gas is being used in fulfilling our energy requirements, and the market's natural gas utilization is very much tremendously increasing, and the demand is going to triple by 2040. Natural gas import will increase from 50% in 2019 to more than 60% in 2040. So natural gas is also being used in the power production systems, automobiles. So natural gas percentage is also going to increase from 50% to 60% imports, because we are not having sufficient resources to fulfill our requirements, of our own requirements. So we are dependent upon the imports of natural gas. So it is going to increase. Till date, we are As per the record, in the year 2019, we were having 50% of, we were fulfilling our natural gas requirement by import, and the share was 50%. And in the year 2040, it will move to 60%. Coal demand will also rise from current 590 million tons to 772 million tons in 2040. So coal demands are also going to increase apart from the growing utilization of renewable energy, solar energies. So apart from the usage of solar energies or other sources of energy, coal will still be required with more quantities in the coming years. So in the year 2040, it is expected to have the requirements of 772 million tons of coal. So coal, as I have already told you, that coal is used as a major source of energy. Still, it is having about 80% share in providing the energy. So these fossil fuels are coal, oil, gas. These are, since we cannot renew these fuels, so these are called fossil fuels, and these we are still dependent up to 80% on these fuels also. Fuels. So their future requirements are also going to increase in coming years with the more energy demands. The energy demands are increasing with the more rapid industrialization, with the rapid commercialization, with the rapid urbanization of India. Our energy demands are increasing, and with these rising energy demands, our fuel demands will also increase. And to fulfill these fuel demands, our imports will also increase. So the natural gas, we have to pay more bill on the imports. We have to pay our money more for importing of the oils. Renewable energy resources demand is also growing in India, and it's the second largest after China. So renewable energy resources demand is also growing. So because of the formation of policies of Government of India, implementation of those policy of utilization of renewable energy, renewable energy resources are growing in India. India is now focusing on the usage of renewable energies more. They are uh, government is also very much focusing on the utilization of renewable energy such as solar energy, wind energy, to fulfill the growing energy demands of India. And if we see at the global level, then it is second largest after China. China is at the first, and India is second in the utilization and in the adoption of renewable energy for the production of energy in our country. Environmental challenges with growing energy demands. So environmental challenges are also growing with energy demands. This also we have considered, we have discussed on this part also, that environmental challenges are always associated with growing energy demands. If energy demand will increase, will grow, then environmental challenges will grow. Why? Because energy is being fulfilled, energy requirements are being fulfilled from the conventional sources of energy, and these conventional sources of energy are using fossil fuels. So fossil fuels, by burning of fossil fuels, many environmental challenges arose. The environment is very much affected by the combustion of the fossil fuels. And as we have seen that many of our Indian cities are not having clean air days throughout the year. They are having a few clean air days when they can get clean air, when they can get clean atmosphere, when they can get clean air, when they can get clean water. So environmental challenges are very much associated with the growing energy demand, and energy demands are growing rapidly. at everywhere in our society, in our home, in our offices, in our commercial sectors. All of all are requiring huge energies, and their energy requirements are growing with the growth of technology, with the growth of economies, with the growth of technologies. Also the way of business, uh, the way of the things are done, the way the businesses are done, the way the uh, manufacturing, or the way the human activities are carried out in day-to-day life. Everywhere energy requirements are growing, and if energy requirement is growing, so definitely environmental challenges are also growing, and they are contributing to affect the environment adversely. The environmental problems are directly related to energy production and consumption, such as air pollution. So growing energy demands leads to air pollution. Growing energy demands leads to climate change, water pollution, thermal pollution, and solid waste disposal also. Solid waste disposal are also affected with the growing energy demands. And environmental impacts on growing energy demands. So with the growing energy demands, yes, anybody wants to say anything? Should I continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So PPT is visible, no?
Yes, sir.
So just a minute. Okay. So environmental impacts on growing energy demands. With the growing energy demands, need of more fossil fuel imports will rise as the domestic gas and oil production has been stagnant for years. So as I have already told you that our own resources of gas and oil production are stagnant for years. They are not they they are not sufficient enough to fulfill our growing needs of oil and gas. So we are dependent upon the imports of oil and gas. So as per the report of IEA, International Energy Agency, the rising oil demands could double the India's oil import bill by 2030. So by the year 2030, our oil demand will increase, and it will lead to almost double, and it could become nearly triple by 2040 from the level of 2019. So if we compare from the 2000, from the level of requirements of the year 2019, it is now going to double by the 2030 and triple by the year 2040. So all this information is very much important for the framing of policy, for the implementation of the new technologies, and for ours also. For ours means for the faculties teaching in educational institutions, for providing the information to the upcoming engineers. So this information is that we need to have this feel. Need to transfer this information to our students, also to the society, and we need to have to be aware of this thing that our growing energy our energy demands are growing rapidly, and to fulfill these requirements, our nation, if our nation is doing anything, or if our country is dependent, if our country is importing more oil, paying more bill for the imports of oil and gas, then ultimately we are also contributing in that payment. So we should have this information, we should have this feel that our energy growing energy needs are ultimately contributing our nation. Ultimately it is affecting our country and ours directly. So the growing energy demands and associated environmental challenges are to be considered, are to be known, are to be transferred to the all the this field. We all should have, so that we can either reduce the usage of energy, or we may adopt some renewable sources for the fulfilling of energy requirements, or we may use some other technologies, or we may also change the technologies so that the energy utilization, energy requirements could be reduced. Such as there are several ways, there are several aspects where we are unnecessarily using energy, conventional energy. I am talking about the conventional energy. Conventional energy means electricity. So at so many aspects of our activities, or in so many human activities, the usage of conventional energy such as electricity could be reduced, can be reduced. We can reduce the electricity in heating, for getting the heating effect, for heating of air. We should not use the electricity. We may use some other sort of energy. We may use sunlight, we may use solar energy. So we are also using electricity in cooling, in air conditioning. So we may think of some technologies, we may think of some systems where this usage of conventional energy can be reduced. There we can use some other sort of energy. Solar energy may also be used for air conditioning, so we may adopt that technology, we may focus on that technology. Ventilation is also very much required. Many of you might have uh, not knowing that ventilation is very much required. Our indoor environment is very much affected as compared to outdoor environment. The indoor environment means the environment inside our home is more polluted sometimes than the outdoor environment. So we need to change the air, or indoor air. We need to have ventilation in our homes. We need to have ventilation in offices, in shopping malls, in public places, in closed proximities. So for these ventilation purposes, huge energy requirements are huge energy is required. So heavy blowers are used, and ventilation systems are used. They use huge energy. So we may think of some sort of application of renewable energies to have the same effect of ventilation, such as use of solar energy, solar ventilation system. Solar chimneys may also be used for cooling and heating purposes. Some sort of some non-conventional technologies may be used. So we need to keep in mind that our energy requirements are increasing, and these energy requirements are somehow contributing to our nation, or directly or indirectly to ours also, in terms of money, in terms of our future, in terms of our availability of our clean air in our cities, in our offices, in our home also. India's future prosperity will hinge on affordable, clean, and reliable energy. So far we have discussed about the growing energy demands, growing energy is requirements of energy is growing, and we have also seen the environmental issues also, that environment is going to become more polluted, environment is going to become more affected by the growing energy demands because of the combustion of more fossil fuels. So India's future prosperity will hinge on affordable, clean, and reliable energy. So now it is not a matter of just providing the energy to the citizens, but the energy should be affordable, energy should be clean, energy should be reliable. So prosperity will only be there if we could have affordable energy available at our doorstep, at our home, at our office places, at our commercial places. or clean energy and reliable. Our availability of energy should also be reliable. So prosperity will depend on the affordability, cleanliness, and reliability of the energy. So India has got electricity connections to hundreds of millions of its citizens. So as I have already told you that about 90 crore people of Indian citizens are now having electrical connection as a electrical connection, and this change has taken place since 2000. Since 2000, earlier we were only fewer having connections in cities or in urban areas. Only connections were available at electrical connections were available. So many citizens at far places were not having electrical connections. Electrical networks were not up to their reach. So this major change could have taken place since 2000. In 19 years, most of the connections were given to the Indian citizens, and promoted the adoption of highly efficient LED lighting by most households. Households. So Indian government has also promoted for the adoption of highly efficient LED lighting. You may also be knowing this thing that LED system focus on usage of LED lighting system were emphasized by the government, and at the reasonable and cheap rate, LED bulbs were also provided to the power distributing agencies also. So by the adoption of this method or adoption of LED lighting system, the energy consumption has been reduced. Energy consumption in houses, residences, and in many societal and commercial areas were reduced. So energy utilization has been reduced, energy demand has been reduced by the usage of LED lighting system, and prompted a massive expansion in renewable sources of energy led by solar energy. So government of India is focusing on the usage of renewable energy led by solar energy, and with the with this source of energy, we are reducing our requirement on the conventional sources of energy, and we are also moving towards the affordable, clean, and reliable energy through the installation of solar power system, solar photovoltaic system, or so adoption to the green technology of solar power. So after discussion of all these things of the growing energy demands and associated environmental challenges, we may conclude with the solutions to growing energy demands and reduce its impact on environment. So what are the solutions to these problems? So problems are we should the solution may be stated in terms of understanding of our environment. We should understand our environment so that we can get the solution of growing energy demand and reduce its impact on environment. How we can get the solution from understanding of environment? Because our environment is very much enriched with the availability of energy, with the resources, all the resources. We should use those resources which can be renewed. We are having several technologies which were being used in olden days to get the comfort or get the requirements of today's age, such as heating and cooling requirements, which we are fulfilling through the conventional methods, conventional technologies with the usage of conventional energy. Those requirements can also be fulfilled by some non-conventional techniques. As I had told you that by the use of solar energy, you can also get the heating effect, you can also get the cooling effect, you can also get the ventilation effects. So air motion can also be produced through the solar energy, through the use of solar energy. So if we can, if we focus on our environment, if we would try to understand our environment, then we can understand that the environment is providing each and everything. It is providing great opportunities, great technologies. It is providing all natural sources of energy where from you can fulfill your growing energy demands and reduce the impact on environment. So first thing which we have to do is to understand our environment. We have to uh, rely on our environmental provisions, environmental resources, natural resources available in environment. Practice sustainability. So we should have in our habit, we should have in our practice that sustainability is to be ensured. If we would have this in our mind, then we can plan our activities, we can do our activities, we can act accordingly so that we can get the sustainability. Rely more on renewable energy from the sun. So we need to rely more on renewable energies from the sun to fulfill our energy requirements. Protect biodiversity. Our biodiversity is very much required to be protected. As I had told you in the initial slides, that biodiversity is the coexistence of several living creatures and the ecosystems. So different creatures are living in different ecosystems, such as oceans, rivers, and so they need to be protected. Why? Because they are ultimately contributing in the sustainability of our environment. They are contributing in providing good environment. They are contributing in providing the clean air, clean water. So biodiversity is needed to be protected. Do not disrupt Earth's natural chemical cycles. So we need not to disrupt the Earth's natural chemical cycles. Chemical cycles, those natural chemical cycles occurring in our Earth are basically recycling the nutrients, and they are very much required for the living organisms on this earth to live. So for these natural cycles means the non-living to living and living to non-living conversion. It is continuously going on. So living creatures are when they become the non-living, then they somehow they transform into through this natural cycles into the living things, and this cycle continuously going on. So we should not do anything so that this natural cycles could be disrupted. So these may be disrupted by many of our acts, many of our activities of in which we are trying to get more exploitation of our resources, or we are trying to get more energy by the exploitation of resources. So they are somewhere they are contributing to affect the natural chemical cycles and disrupting the this natural the environment, or they are affecting the sustainability of environment also. So we can live more sustainably by relying more on solar energy, preserving biodiversity, and not disrupting the Earth's natural chemical cycling processes. These are the solutions to growing energy need demands and reduce its impact on environment. So we have to do one thing, that we have to reduce the energy demands as far as possible. We may design some systems, we may design some methods, we can adopt certain methodologies, we can adopt certain technologies, develop technologies where the energy demands could be reduced, and with the reduction of energy demands, we can also focus on the utilization of some renewable energy sources of energy, or the sources of energy which which does not affect the environment, or which are providing the sustainable environment. So this was all about from in this session from my side. I think I could have give some information on the growing energy demands and associated impact on environment, and I've given the suggestions and solutions also. And I hope you would be agree, all the participants would be agree that energy demands are growing and they are affecting each and every one of us. And these energy demands will definitely affect they are affecting the environment. And if their growth will be continued in the fashion they are growing, then in future, in coming days, environment will be more polluted, and clean air days which I have shown as of 2019, they will they will be going to reduce in future also. So we have to increase the more clean days in our societies, in our cities, in our country, and throughout the globe. And for that, we need to understand the growing energy demands, and we have to focus on the reduction of energy demands as far as utilization of renewable energy, so renewable sources of energy, wherefrom we can get the clean energy and reduce the impact of growing energy demands on environments. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. You have given a very nice presentation and it was a very engaging session. So participants, if you have any query or question, please.
Please, if anybody having any question, please ask. I will try to answer you.
I think the presentation was so nicely presented and it was so clear that no one has any question regarding this. But definitely Dr. Bartaria has one more session with us tomorrow, and I think we will get more information on particular techniques or construction techniques of renewable energy in the next section of yours.
Definitely.
Anyone have any question? Please ask. Okay, I think everyone is satisfied with your issues you raised and the answers you provided for the issues. So thank you very much, sir, for your
Thank you,
nice
madam.
presentation.
A very informative session, sir, for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. I also hope that I could have given something, some information, and I could made aware of the current situation and current energy utilization and
Yes.
of energy and the growing energy demands. So in next session, I will be discussing on the usage of renewable energies in fulfilling these energy requirements or reducing the growing energy demands also, so that our environment could also be protected and we can lead towards the sustainability of our environment. So thank you very much to one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And tomorrow we will have again session will start from 10:30 onwards, and again 3 sessions will be there. First session will be on kitchen garden, waste to health. The speaker would be Srimati Nutan Bhajikar from NGO Inora, Pune, Maharashtra. The second session will start at 12:15, and the session will be on how to study vernacular architecture in context of climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction. The speaker would be Dr. Ram Satish Pasupaleti from IIT Roorkee, and the third session will be of Dr. Bartaria sir. The topic will be passive solar ventilation. So, a good day to all the participants. We will meet tomorrow. One announcement is there. Please you put your attendance, and the link is given on WhatsApp group. So please confirm to give your attendance. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you very much. So with these words, I am closing this session, and good evening to everyone.